Hello, Gemini. Welcome to your reading for the week of January 6th, or whenever you come across this. So, when I started doing this reading, the first impression that I got was of a cyclone. And as I asked my guides why, the information that I was getting was that this was kind of a representation of what can happen to you when you start getting an idea about something that you might like to do or something that needs to be done. But I am more a feeling of an idea of expansion, something that would expand your life. And that you get this idea down here on the ground, and then as your mind works with it, all of a sudden, all of the things that need to be done around it become this great big huge thing, but you're up here now, you're no longer grounded. And when you're at that phase and you're no longer grounded, it's very hard to bring your ideas together in something that can create a material structure to contain this idea that you have. So simple, it might be the creation of a business or the idea for a sculpture or anything that demands that it be taken from a creative, intuitive idea kind of place into something that has shape and functionality on the material earth plane. Now, as I was pulling the cards, I was looking at this, and what seems to be coming up here for the particular group of Gemini that I seem to be reading for is that you definitely would benefit from having a structure, from creating a structure. That whatever this new idea is or potential future is, the idea of creating a structure for it. So sitting down and like literally concretely going, what would be the steps for this? What am I fearing? Because that's part of what brings you up into this high place up here is all these ideas start coming in about the details that need to be done. It can be very overwhelming at that point. So you just kind of give up the idea of bringing it down. You get stuck up there and then you just jump out of it. And that's it. You let it go. But the thing is, it's still there in you because there is a part of you that does want to create, that does want to be doing something. And so you're really being encouraged to two things. Create a structure around that, but also look at what's going on in your life now that is your current structure that is causing you to think it would be good for you to create another one or to have another idea, make something new for yourself. Where has the structure that you're living in now become a cage for you? Where have you gotten stuck in that? The thing with the structures and how we live in the structures, it's really our relationship to them. So whether or not you want to create a new structure, there may be a group of you who are just in a structure already that is not serving you, but you don't know how to deal with it. You don't know how to ask for what you want. And there is a very big sense I find often with air signs in general, often because they are so airy, because they have the ability to really be in their head a lot. It's not always easy for them to get in touch with what they're feeling. They're not as in their bodies in a way where they can actually really sense a lot of nuance and emotion. And therefore, they're very often quick to go, oh, yeah, never mind. Oh, yeah, I don't like that, but that's okay. I'll do this. And that it can lead them into being in structures and in situations sometimes for longer than they really ought to be or longer than they would like to be. Let's say longer than they would like to be. So for those of you who are in a structure now that is not serving you, that's starting to feel too cramped, what I would really encourage you to do is look at where you're not setting boundaries in terms of how you are relating to the other people or the situation. Where are you doing more than you should? Where are you not asking for what is appropriate and why? There's a feeling here for me that as I'm going back, the cards seem to really indicate to me that there's probably some training as a child that led you to be in a situation where it was kind of like, these are the rules, follow them. And it may not have even been done meanly, but just that sense of this is what was supposed to be done. And so even the things that could have been playful weren't necessarily playful, because there was very often that sense of, my duty is to do this. My duty is to be this way. And what you're being asked to now is redefine what would be playful for you and bring that into your structure. It's no longer whatever structure you're in and whatever structure you want to create. It's really, really important for you to be able to bring a sense of play into it, a sense of frivolity, but it's not just frivolity. It's the idea that you're allowed to make mistakes and you're allowed to look silly. You're strong enough now that if somebody comes at you, you can give them a gesture that would tell them to back off. You are really being encouraged in this to stand up for yourself, to be your own hero. Do you need to stand up for something? Do you need to speak up for yourself? Or do you need to say, this isn't working for me now. This isn't working for me now. I need to change it. I'm not going to apologize for having these feelings. I'm not going to apologize for having these needs. Your mind, you're really being asked to look at your mind, to quiet down, to look at your mind, to question what you're already perceiving as right and wrong, and look at it and say, maybe there's more to this than I think. Maybe I'm not giving my feelings enough credence here, and I need to really look at that. Maybe what I've been thinking is right, and the best way for me isn't. Maybe, just maybe, there's a force around me that knows better. And maybe I can listen to what the universe is telling me and follow my intuitions. Now, in order to be different in the structure I'm in, or to change the structure, to build a new structure. Intuition, my lovely Gemini, you are intuitive. It's a matter of, when you're out here with all these ideas, calming down, getting quiet, and letting yourself see what feels like a good idea. So, if you're not in your body and you're finding it very difficult, to really feel what feels right, one of the things that's almost always going to guide you in the right way is, does it make me feel expansive? This is an exercise that I will use when I'm, overwhelmed with thoughts and undecided. I go back to times in my life when I felt really genuinely open and calm and well. And often I will relate it to a particular place where I felt that. And I'll notice how I'm breathing as I remember this place, and I'll get a sense of what my body feels like. And I'll get an idea of, if I'm looking out, for example, at the scenery, where is my vision? Do I have good peripheral vision, or am I just focused like this? And then whatever the question is about what I should do or not do, when I let myself bring that into my awareness as I'm in that space, does it contract or does it expand? Does it diminish that feeling of expansion, vision, or does it expand it? And that's usually a pretty good guide to start getting a sense of what feels right and what doesn't feel right. I call it, following the happiness breadcrumbs. It's when you can start getting a sense of that, what feels good, then you can start really starting to pay attention. That was interesting English. You can really start paying attention to the messages and the synchronicities that are guiding you along a path that is ultimately what's best for you. Now, your mind is really, really powerful, and your mind can be in many different locations at once, thus the cyclone. And so that's not a bad thing, that's a great thing, but it just means slowing it down enough so that you can pick it out of the air and go, that, write it down, that, write it down, that, write it down. And then you get to look at it and say, is this a reasonable fear? What would allay that fear? What would mean I didn't have to be fearful about that particular thing? It might be something simple. For example, I will use something, okay, if I'm worried, for example, about whether or not my car is going to be good for the winter. Well, I know that if I've got this fear in the back of my mind, there are certain things that I can do. One is get my battery checked, right? One is make sure that my winter tires are on. One is, it's just basic things like that. I can have this ongoing kind of anxiety about driving in the winter. But if I really break it down and go, okay, what's going on up there? There's that thought, I haven't done that. There's that, I haven't done that. There's that, I haven't done that. Of course, I have, because I'm very careful about my car. But that's an example. We can have these kind of cyclones of anxiety around issues that are really just because we haven't taken the time to slow our thoughts down enough and really itemize them in a way where we can deal with it from a concrete place rather than just having it running around like a scary little mouse in our head. So that is it for you, Geminis. Please, if you're in a structure that is not good for you, don't apologize for needing to speak up for yourself. Be your own hero. Stand up for you. The past where you were not able to do that, or where it brought resistance and perhaps some shaming or some discipline that wasn't good for you, that's the past. That's not who you are now. You don't have to put up with that. You can stand for yourself. I'm going to say this, and I mean it with all good intention. If it means you are in a structure and standing up for yourself means it will put you in danger, get the proper help that you need before you do it. Please, whatever you read in any reading, always make sure that your safety and security comes first. All right? That being said, you are really being encouraged to slow down, take a look at things, get out of struggle with whatever structure you're in by standing up for what you need, redefining it, slowing your thoughts down in order to be able to discern what you need to do next in order to change the structure, to build a new one, to get out of the one that you're in. Any of those, okay? You have great ideas. So give the universe the opportunity to speak to you by slowing yourself down enough to listen, by getting yourself out of the anxiety around these rotating thoughts. If that cyclone started off with a good thought, something that was exciting for you, slow yourself down. Let the universe talk to you about it. Let your mind be quiet enough to be able to have information filter into it and fill your mind with good stuff. The mind is not only the tool with which we interpret the world around us, the mind is the great cosmic cookie cutter, which manifests our world according to its shape and the ingredients we put into it. All right? Pay attention to where your mind is and let it be in a good place. Okay? That's it for this week. Like, share, subscribe, all welcome, and I'll be back next week. Whether you do or whether you don't, you're welcome to join me. Take care.